Title: And Why Ex-Wife Called After 5 Years. Her shocking confession blew my mind. The phone rang at 1 a.m., its shrill tones slicing through the stillness of my studio apartment, pulling me from a restless sleep. I fumbled for it, the screen glowing with a name I hadn't seen in 5 years. Liora, my ex-wife, the woman who'd shattered my world and left me to rebuild from the ashes. My heart raced, a mix of dread and curiosity, as I answered. Her voice on the other end, a ghost from a past I'd tried to bury. "Thane," she said, her tone sharp but trembling. "We need to talk." What she said next changed everything, stirring a storm I thought I'd escaped. "I'm Thane, a man who wears his heart too openly. Average height, quiet demeanor, with emotions that cut too deep." Liora called me spineless, her favorite weapon, delivered with a sneer that made me feel worthless. I'd loved her fiercely, her ambition as a gallery curator a flame I thought we'd share, her art a dream I supported with every late shift at the library. But that flame turned to ice, her ambition a wall I couldn't breach. 5 years ago, I'd caught her with her colleague, Kale, in our bed, her laughter at my tears. "You're so pathetic, Thane." A final blow before she walked out, leaving me with nothing but a broken heart. I'd spent those years rebuilding, piecing myself together through therapy, writing, and a small circle of friends. My apartment was a haven now, filled with books and sketches, a far cry from the chaos of our marriage. But her call dragged me back, her voice a reminder of the pain I'd buried. "I'm in town," she said, her words clipped, as if no time had passed. "I need to see you. Tomorrow, at the cafe on Elm Street, 10 a.m. I wanted to say no, to hang up, but the old Thane, the one who'd begged her to stay, stirred, whispering that maybe this was closure. "Why now, Liora?" I asked, my voice small, hating myself for it. She sighed, impatient. "Just be there," she said, and hung up. I paced the apartment, the city's hum a distant drone, my mind racing with possibilities. Why was she calling after 5 years of silence? What could she possibly want? I thought of her back then, her cold dismissal, the way she'd flaunted Kale, making me feel invisible. I'd found a photo of them once, tucked in her purse, but she'd laughed it off, calling me paranoid. I'd believed her, desperate to keep her, until that night shattered my illusions. Now, her voice brought it all back. The tears, the shame, the love I'd clung to despite her cruelty. I opened my notebook, a refuge I'd kept since she mocked my writing as childish, and wrote, "I'm not hers anymore." The words felt fragile, but they sparked a flicker of defiance, a need to face her, not just flee. I texted Amos, my best friend who'd helped me through the divorce. Liora called. "Wants to meet." His reply was instant. "Don't let her drag you down, Thane. I'm here." His support was a lifeline, a reminder I wasn't alone, his role in my healing a constant I cherished. I didn't sleep, the night stretching endlessly, Leora's call a Pandora's box I wasn't sure I could close. Her tone, sharp, but with a tremble, hinted at something deeper, a crack in her icy facade. Was she sorry? Or was this another game, her way of pulling me back into her orbit? I thought of her at our wedding, her smile once genuine, a memory tainted by her betrayal. The cafe loomed, a battlefield I wasn't ready for, but I knew I had to go, to hear what she'd say, to face the woman who'd broken me. As the city's lights glowed outside, I felt a resolve stirring, a fire ready to burn through the past, while Liora waited, unaware of the strength I'd built in her absence. The cafe on Elm Street buzzed with morning chatter, the aroma of fresh coffee a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. I arrived early, my hands clutching a cup of black tea, the steam rising like the memories Leora's call had unearthed. Her voice, sharp, trembling, had haunted my sleepless night, her cryptic demand to meet stirring a mix of dread and resolve. I'd walked away from her 5 years ago, after catching her with Kale, her cruel words, "You're so pathetic, Thane." A scar I'd spent years healing. Now, as I sat by the window, the city waking around me, I braced myself for what she'd say, determined not to let her break me again. She walked in at 10 a.m. sharp, her auburn hair pulled back, her tailored coat a reminder of the life she'd built without me. Her eyes met mine, a flicker of something, guilt, Maybe, before her familiar smirk returned. "You look tired, Thane," she said, sitting across from me, her tone cutting, as if no time had passed. I wanted to snap back, to demand why she'd called, but the old fear of her scorn, spineless asterisk, held me back. Instead, I forced my voice steady. "What do you want, Liora?" I asked, my hands trembling but my gaze firm, a small act of defiance I hadn't dared back then. Her smirk faltered, her fingers fidgeting with her coffee cup, a crack in her icy facade. "I'm getting married," she said, her voice flat, as if testing me. My chest tightened, not with jealousy, but with the weight of her betrayal, still raw after all these years. "Congrats," I muttered, the word bitter, but she leaned forward, her eyes searching mine. "That's not all," she said, her voice softer, a tremor I didn't expect. I found your old letters, Thane, the ones you wrote when we were engaged. I read them, and She stopped, her eyes glistening, a glimpse of the Liora who'd once shared her fears of failure with me, before she turned cold. I froze, my mind racing. My letters, words of love, dreams of a future I thought we'd share, were a piece of me I'd forgotten, left behind in her world. Why bring them now? Was this her twisted way of apologizing, or another game to pull me back? "Why does that matter?" I asked, my voice sharper, pushing past my fear. Her eyes widened, a flash of vulnerability, but she quickly masked it. "I don't know, Thane," she said, her tone shifting, defensive. "I thought maybe we could talk. Really talk." Her words were careful, a bait I recognized, but they stirred a storm. Pain, anger, a flicker of hope I hated myself for feeling. I stood, my chair scraping the floor, needing air, needing space. "You don't get to do this, Liora," I said, my voice trembling but firm, a defiance I'd never shown her before. "You don't get to show up and act like you care." Her face crumpled, tears spilling, and for a moment, I saw the woman I'd loved. But I knew her. She'd twist this, make me the villain, just like always. I walked out, her voice trailing. Thane, wait, But I didn't stop, the cafe's noise fading as I stepped into the morning chill, my heart pounding with a mix of pain and power. I drove to the library, needing the familiar quiet of the stacks, my notebook a refuge in my bag. I wrote, "Her tears are not my chains." The words anchored me, a reminder of the strength I'd built, bolstered by Amos's support, his text from last night a lifeline. "I'm here." Mara, my coworker who'd seen me through the divorce, was there, her warm smile a comfort. "What happened, Thane?" she asked, her voice soft. I told her, Leora's call, the meeting, the letters. "She's playing you," Mara said, her tone fierce, her role in my journey a constant. "Don't let her." I nodded, the cafe confrontation a step, but the fight wasn't over. Leora's words had changed everything, stirring a past I thought I'd buried. And as I shelved books, I knew I had to face her again, to end this, while her tears haunted me, a ghost I wasn't sure I could outrun. The library's quiet stacks were a sanctuary, the scent of old books grounding me as I shelved a stack of novels, my notebook tucked in my bag with the words, "Her tears are not my chains, a shield against the storm Leora's call had unleashed." Her tearful plea at the cafe, "I thought we could talk," had stirred a past I'd buried, her mention of my old letters a Pandora's box I couldn't close. I'd walked out on her, a defiance I'd never shown 5 years ago when I caught her with Kale, but the ache of her betrayal, her manipulation, lingered, a scar I was still learning to bear. Mara lingered nearby, her concern palpable as she reorganized the display. "You okay, Thane?" she asked, her voice soft but firm, her role in my journey a steady anchor. I nodded, but my hands trembled as I told her about Leora's tears, her claim of regret. "She's scared," Mara said, her eyes narrowing. "She's lost control, and now she's trying to pull you back in. Don't let her." Her words echoed Amos's warning, their support a fortress I leaned on, pushing me to act, not just flee. I wrote, "I won't be her puppet." The words were a vow, a fire growing within me. I decided to dig deeper, to understand why Liora was really here, a step toward agency I'd never taken before. I called Elsie, a lawyer friend Mara had connected me with during the divorce, her voice crisp over the phone. I can look into her, Thane, she said after I explained the cafe meeting. If she's reaching out now, there's a reason. I agreed, needing answers, not just closure. Elsie texted later. Asterisk found something. Meet me at the park. 2 p.m. Asterisk my heart raced, a plot twist looming, the stakes higher than I'd imagined. At the park, the autumn leaves crunched underfoot, the air cool as Elsie handed me a file, her expression grim. Leora's gallery is bankrupt, she said. She's been hiding debts, and Kale left her a year ago. She's getting married to a wealthy investor, but there's a catch. Her prenup requires proof of closure with past relationships. My breath caught, the truth a fresh wound. Liora wasn't here for regret. She needed me to sign off on her past, to secure her future, her tears a calculated move. She's using you, Elsie said, her voice sharp, her role in my fight a beacon of clarity. I confronted Liora that evening, needing to face her on my terms, an external conflict I was ready for. I drove to her hotel, a sleek building downtown, and knocked on her door, my heart pounding. She opened it, her face pale, her eyes red, a flicker of the Liora who'd feared failure, but I knew better now. I know about the prenup, Liora, I said, my voice firm, no trace of the old Thane who'd begged for her love. Her eyes widened, a flash of panic, and she stepped back, her voice trembling. I didn't mean it like that, she stammered, but her hands shook, betraying her. You needed me to sign off on your past, I said, cutting through her lies. You don't get to use me anymore. Her face crumpled, tears spilling, and for a moment, I saw genuine fear, not manipulation, a woman who'd lost everything, clinging to a new start. But I didn't waver. Goodbye, Liora, I said, turning away, her sobs fading as I walked down the hall. The confrontation of victory, her calculated tears no match for my resolve. I drove to Amos's, my notebook open, writing. I'm not her closure. The pain of her betrayal, her affair with Kale, her cruelty, still lingered, but I was moving forward, supported by Amos, Mara, and Elsie, their roles in my journey a foundation I'd built on. Leora's call had changed everything, exposing her true motives, and as the city's lights glowed outside, I knew I wasn't done, ready to turn my pain into something greater, while she faced the wreckage of her own design. The city's neon lights reflected off the wet pavement as I drove from Leora's hotel, her sobs. Thane, please a fading echo in my mind, her calculated tears exposed as a ploy for her prenup. The confrontation had been a battlefield, her stunned silence a mirror to the night I'd caught her with Kale 5 years ago. But this time, I'd walked away on my terms, my voice firm, my resolve unshaken. I wasn't the Thane she'd mocked as spineless, the one who'd begged for her love. I was reclaiming my life, and the strength I felt was a fire she couldn't douse. At Amos's loft, the familiar scent of paint and coffee grounded me as I sat on his couch, my notebook open to the words. I'm not her closure a declaration of my freedom. Amos handed me a beer, his grin wide. You faced her head on, Thane, he said, his pride a warmth I clung to, his role in my journey a constant. She's got nothing on you now. I nodded, the weight of her betrayal, her affair, her cruelty, still there, but lighter, my fight fueled by his support and Mara's fierce guidance. I texted Mara. Confronted Leora. It was about her prenup. Her reply was swift. Proud of you, Thane. Meet me at the library tomorrow. The next morning, the library's quiet stacks were a refuge, the soft rustle of pages a balm as I met Mara by the poetry section. She hugged me, her eyes bright. You're stronger than she'll ever know, she said, her role in my healing a steady anchor. Elsie joined us, her voice sharp with a twist. Leora's investor fiancé backed out, she said, handing me a file. He found out about the fraud charges. Kale's testimony sealed her fate. She's lost everything. My breath caught. The depth of her downfall a shock. Her fear at the hotel now real. A woman who'd gambled and lost. Her empire of lies in ruins. I decided to see Liora one last time, to close this chapter, an external conflict I needed to face. I drove to her hotel, the lobby sterile and cold, and found her in the lounge, nursing a drink, her face haggard, a shadow of the Liora who'd once commanded galleries. She saw me, her eyes red, a flicker of the woman who'd feared failure, now living it. Thane, she whispered, her voice breaking, no trace of her sneer. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Her apology was raw, a glimpse of genuine regret, but I knew it was too late, her tears no longer my burden. I forgive you, I said, my voice steady, not for her, but for me, a release of the pain I'd carried. But I'm done. Her face crumpled, a sob escaping, and I walked away, her broken figure a testament to her own choices, her stunned silence at my words a final echo of the past. Back at the library, I wrote, I'm free. The pain of her betrayal, her affair with Kale, still lingered, but I was moving forward, supported by Amos, Mara, and Elsie, their roles in my journey a foundation I'd built on. I wasn't done. The writing group Mara had suggested became a new goal, a place to share my words, to heal through creation. I started sketching again, turning my notebook into a story of survival, a way to transform my pain. Leora's call had changed everything, exposing her motives, her downfall a consequence I hadn't sought but welcomed, a closure I'd earned. As the city's pulse hummed outside, I knew the final step was coming, a way to rise, to create. While Liora faced the wreckage of her own design, her stunned silence a memory I'd outgrown, replaced by a strength she'd never break. The morning light streamed through the library's tall windows, casting golden patterns on the hardwood as I shelved a stack of poetry books, my notebook a quiet companion in my bag. Leora's broken figure in the hotel lounge, her raw apology, I'm sorry, Thane, was a fading echo, her downfall a consequence of her own lies, her gallery bankrupt, her fiancé gone, her world with Kale in ashes. Her call had changed everything, exposing her motives, but I'd walked away, faced her on my terms, and now, Thane, the man she'd called spineless, was building a life she couldn't touch. Elsie's final update came as I left the library. Leora's facing community service for the fraud, she texted. You're free, Thane. A last twist. Liora had tried to appeal, but Kale's testimony and her failed attempt to flee with the funds had sealed her fate. Her regret was real, her fear at the hotel a glimpse of the woman who'd feared failure, now living it. But I didn't linger on her pain. My focus was here, on the life I'd reclaimed, the strength I'd found in the ashes of her betrayal, 5 years after I'd walked away. I moved into a new apartment, a cozy space with a view of the park, transforming it into a haven. I painted the walls a soft blue, hung my sketches, once hidden from her scorn, and turned a corner into a writing nook, the notebook page from that first night. Asterisk, I'm not hers anymore asterisk, framed above my desk, a symbol of my rebirth. The writing group Mara introduced me to became a sanctuary, their encouragement a balm. Among them was Nora, a librarian with a warm smile and eyes that saw me, not the broken man Liora left behind. We'd grown close, our talks about books turning to walks, then dinners, her presence a light I'd never known. At the group's reading event, I shared a short memoir, 5 years later, about Leora's call, her betrayal, and my rise. Nora read it aloud, her voice steady, and the applause was warm, a rush of pride replacing the shame Leora had instilled. You're incredible, Thane, Nora said, her hand in mine, and I believed her. The weight of Leora's insults, asterisk pathetic, needy asterisk, gone. Amos and Mara were there, Amos cheering loudest, Mara's eyes shining. You turned pain into purpose, she said, her role in my journey a constant, alongside Amos's unwavering support, their presence a foundation I'd rebuilt on. A symbolic act of closure came when I donated my old wedding ring, melted into a small sculpture of a phoenix, to the group's art auction, titled Reborn from Ashes. The proceeds funded a literacy program, turning betrayal into hope, a gesture that felt like reclaiming those 5 years. Liora faded to a footnote, her community service a quiet end, Kale long gone. I didn't care, my life was here, with Nora's laughter, Amos's sketches on my walls, Mara's texts about new writing gigs, my memoir in a local anthology. I started running in the park, the grass's rhythm matching my own, Nora often joining me, her hand in mine a steady joy. Happiness wasn't loud, it was Nora's touch, the group's applause, Amos's bad puns, my words shared with a room that listened. Leora's call had changed everything, forcing me to face her, to fight, with Amos, Mara, and Elsie by my side. The external conflict at the hotel, the legal battle, had been my stage to stand tall, and I'd won, not by her rules, but by creating. As I stood in the nook, Nora at my side, the phoenix sculpture above my desk, I knew I'd turned 5 years of pain into a new beginning, a life of words, love, and light, while Liora faced the emptiness of her own making. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help this video reach more viewers. See you in the next one.